manually focused the camera this week and autofocus is off, so hopefully I don't start fading in and out of focus. If that happens, then something's gone severely wrong. If I'm completely out of focus, I'm just blind. I've been gone the last 2 weeks. I've been having a little bit of a time of it, but we've been trying to keep at least one video out coming... What? We've been trying to keep one video coming out a week. Got it done the second try, definitely. And I'm going to try and keep doing stuff. I didn't have any ideas and I was being self-conscious and stuff. It happens sometimes. But while that was happening, I was also working on a super secret project, which I mentioned very briefly in the live stream that Gretchen and I did on Thursday last week. And hopefully will be coming out this week. I have to double check with my friend Anna, but I'm pretty sure that the first episodes of what I'm calling Edge of Ecirah is going to be coming out hopefully this week. The goal is to get this as a podcast, but you can't just post podcasts willy-nilly. I don't have the money to post it online. I don't make enough at all. I hardly make enough money to survive, so I definitely don't make enough money to pay for podcast hosting. But it's a real play D&D podcast, which is a thing that is moderately popular in the community, and I'm sure lots of you have seen me talk about the Adventure Zone, which is maybe like the most popular one. I don't know. There's a lot of live shows that do it, like Critical Role, or actually any of the shows on the Dungeons and Dragons stuff, or if you, for years you've been watching like Acquisitions Incorporated, which I have. I'm going to link below the first episode, which is going to be going up on the Dungeon of Bad Decisions YouTube channel, which is my friend Anna's channel, and she runs a Tumblr blog called The Dungeons of Bad Decisions with a lot of like funny anecdotes and just exchanges that people have when playing Dungeons and Dragons. And if you are on Tumblr and you are a nerd that enjoys playing role-playing games, that might be a good place to go. There's a lot of like really funny jokes that happen all over there. And I'm lucky enough to know her, and she's in the campaign. She starts later on, but she is part of it, and we were all willing to let her post that and sort of have that control of that aspect of it. So it's going on her YouTube channel. I wanted to do my own one. D&D is something that I've been doing since high school. My friends and I in high school used to literally rent out the office space in our high school on Friday afternoons for 2 hours to play Dungeons and Dragons. Going into college, it was what brought me really close with my friends. I don't think that Taylor and I would be as good friends as we are if it weren't for D&D. We really got super close doing other things, but one of the things was chatting about Dungeons and Dragons. Technically, if you are a stickler for the rules, we will be using the Pathfinder system, which is not D&D. It's a different rule system, but it's still a pen and paper role-playing game. But even then, it's going to be a little bit different. I created the world, so it's not using the Pathfinder world. We do use the Pathfinder character sheets and the Pathfinder mechanics, depending on where we are in the campaign, I might use some of the Pathfinder resources as far as like monsters and adversaries go. But it's my own story, my own world, and we all created characters to put into it. It's a really great thing, and I actually really love it as a podcast type thing, because it's like listening to an audiobook read with the cast, but the cast's also constantly making snarky jokes about the plot. And sort of like ribbing on each other for how they're saying certain things or why they're doing certain things. It's something that's a really big part of my life that I really enjoy, and I wanted to share it with folks. And I've been working really hard on this story and creating an interesting world for my friends to muck about in. And in true me fashion, it's also a horror campaign. There was a murder mystery that's going on, and sort of a greater overall thing that's going on in the world as well. So it's if that intrigues you, please stop on by. I'm going to add into this video a little bit of audio from the first episode so that you can maybe get enticed and learn a little bit about the folks and all of that. I guess to pull you guys in, I should talk about the world that I created, because that's really sort of the most interesting part. I told you it was like a murder mystery type thing, but the way that the world was constructed, and the thing that's super interesting there is that they're part of what I'm calling Ecirah, which is actually an empire, which has slowly over 2,000 years been growing and growing and growing and covering an entire continent. And this empire came to be when 3 people who were each independently born were set off on a quest, and they would eventually become what our players know as the Divines. They are immortal beings now. And they found a human man who was able to unite a bunch of warring clans in the middle of sort of a wasteland type area. And then he died like days later. So they found this man, all of them working on this quest to get to this man. They didn't know each other. They come together. They find the next person who's going to rule this now united group of tribes. And that became Ecirah. And there's a whole lot of interesting ways in the world is formed. Those 3 divines were then put in charge of these sort of 3 factions in the world. The first being the faction that controls education, which is the college, and all of the people in the land every single year have to take an exam until they pass. So if they don't pass this exam, that's fine. They continue on with their life. Once they pass the exam, they are enrolled in what's called the college, where their skills are eventually trained until they can graduate. The second faction is the Blind Court, and they're sort of the lawmakers and also the judges and things like that. Their job is to sort of try people, to make sure that anything that comes up as being against the Empire is brought up on charges, and sort of how they're going to deal with those sort of results. And the people who actually bring people to the Blind Courts are going to be your peacekeepers. That's the third faction, and the peacekeepers are both the militia, police force, sheriffs, all of that stuff all falls under the peacekeepers. They sort of are the strong arms of the Empire. All of the player characters at the very beginning of the campaign were told that they are peacekeepers. They've all graduated from the college and become members of the peacekeepers. And in doing that, they've essentially signed up to be part of a militia, and their assignment has them being sent off to this tiny town at the very north of the Empire, in a recently acquired region. So it's a region that the Empire has spread to in the last 2 years, and they're being sent to this one town altogether to essentially be that town's law. And when they get there, they learn some things, and maybe some stuff happens. And in all of this, I'm hoping to sort of start small and get bigger, where they're going to start with this very small community where they're trying to help out all of these folks, and that the issues in this small community will slowly spread out to the Empire at large, and seeing how it is that they interact with the people in the world, both the super sweet people that I have who live in this town, and also the sort of more shady figures in the world, and even those with a lot of power, perhaps even the divines themselves. I don't know if I did a good job selling that to you. I hope I did, because it's something that I care a whole lot about, and I put a whole lot of love and thought into it. And it's something that, like, every single week I'm putting in a whole lot of effort into writing and editing how they're going to be, how they fit into the world, and trying to figure out where to start and stop these episodes. And I'm going in and I'm editing them, so it's not just like minutes of silence while they're thinking about what to do. It should hopefully have a good pace. I will say the first episode is a lot of exposition, because it's me introducing them to the world as well as you guys. So there's a lot of information, and you don't necessarily need to retain it all, but I would stick with it. Everything that I'm saying is important, and I'm not just saying it because I have it written down. I did sort of have this self-reflection of like, I maybe could have spread this out a little bit better, but it's stuff that will come up again. Anything that I'm mentioning is important, and it will be something that they're going to need to remember. Whether or not they do remember it, that stands to be an issue here. But if you like mysteries, and you like horror, and you like science fiction and fantasy, this is definitely something to pick up. It's a unique world and a unique story, and hopefully you like it. Like I said, I'm going to add in some audio here from the first episode, so maybe you can get an idea of what it's like to listen to it, and I hope you go listen to it.
Actually, guys, who wants a tour? Because I got a 26 of knowledge. I think I can actually give you a tour.
Y'all want some fantasy burger? I could use some meat.
Is that the brand name, Fantasy Burger? Is this the chain?
Yep, it's a chain. It goes all across the land. Fantasy Burger.
It's
I
family
love
owned.
fantasy burgers. Let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, you enjoy some choice fantasy burgers.
Whatever.
What toppings do you want on your burgers, guys?
Is that the role playing we're doing?
Yeah. You were instructed in the notices that you were given when you were told where to go, to meet with the Empire's administrator, which is the college track person who's going to be here. They're going to be called an administrator, and they're the ones in all of the towns that administer the tests that you guys have to take. Very apt name, yes? The problem was that when they told you to meet with this person, they didn't tell you where they would be. And you can't find anybody here. It's almost like it's like a deserted town. Like, slightly past middle-aged looking man comes out of the inn. He's got, like, hair that was brown but is mostly gray now. There's still some brown in it. And he's wearing sort of like these silver half-moon spectacles. And he like pats her on the shoulder and says, "Oh, Jess, I'm gonna head out. It's getting pretty late. Oh, our peacekeepers arrived. Do you guys need any help, getting your horses into the stables? It's not really a good idea to leave them out at night." "Oh my gosh, can you do, more stuff like that?" It's a little boy. He has sort of mousy brown hair like his mom. It's clearly cut by her, so not the best haircut that you've ever seen, and he's got sort of like a cute smattering of freckles and very earnest eyes, and she sort of laughs and fluffs his hair as she moves along the table, making sure that you guys are still doing okay and going back to her chores and stuff.
Okay, well, I will... well, first, let me say, tomorrow I'll be happy to show you a shadow puppet show, as those are some of my specialties. But for the immediate moment, let me first ask, do you have any allergies? Do I know offhand why it was abandoned?
No. You just know that, because that's, like, way before your time.
Do I consider it mysterious, or just it's a thing that happened?
I mean, I don't know. Does your character care about a dwarven enclave that for over 100 years has been abandoned?
My character cares about mysteries.
So with a 27, you are aware of the very turning of the world. No, I'm,
Whoa.
You suddenly are like,
Sit down.
I'm a little bit dizzy here. There's two figures up ahead. One of them is, a woman, and she is one of the most beautiful humans that you have ever seen. In front of them, sort of recessed into the stone of this mountain rise, which goes up several hundred feet above your heads, is a very large stone door. Again, I thank you. I think it would be wise not to hang about out here in the woods. And she looks at her friend, and her friend goes, "I don't know that we should take him in there with us. I don't trust him." And the other one says, he opened the door, and maybe he can help us. And they're sort of bickering again about what to do with you.
I'm gonna just walk in.
Again, I would like it to be a podcast because I don't think that it works super well as a YouTube video. There's nothing to see. It's all audio. But it would work much better as a podcast type thing where you are driving and listening to the story, or maybe you sit down with a cup of tea and listen to the story like you would an audiobook, or whatever it is that you like to do while coloring or puzzling or doing whatever, something else, dishes, chores, exercising, who knows. If you have YouTube Red, you can use it that way. I would recommend it as sort of like a downloaded audio thing. If you're a person who has the ability to put the TV on in the background, I would recommend that as well, just to have it playing and listen to it. And again, I hope that you like it. I've worked really hard on it, and there might be some hiccups either technologically or whatever, because we're figuring this out on the fly and I'm sort of learning as we go. But hopefully it works out and you all can enjoy it and enjoy the story that I've created and enjoy the dumb jokes that my friends and I make. I spend a lot of time trying to be funny, so hopefully there's a laugh or two in there too. I hope that you guys are having a lovely week and lovely lives. Sorry I wasn't here for a couple of weeks. And I'll see you guys on Wednesday when we do the live stream for Being Fishkill, which is the last Bibliomancy for Beginners episode in our Own Voices arc. Next month starts a cycle of free choices where we just got to pick a book that we wanted to read. So if you want to see the books that we've picked, definitely check out the Goodreads page, which is always linked down below, and join us Wednesday. Hopefully in the evening on Wednesday to discuss Being Fishkill. I'll talk to you guys then. Bye!